Hey everyone, welcome to Suboptimal. Suboptimal is a podcast that talks about when life doesn't go to plan. It's the space where you're not always showing your successes. Of course, we all have successes and we want to show people the best version of ourselves. But the real teaching comes from the times that you failed. How did you get better? What did you learn from that? How did you grow? And what things did you learn about yourself that you didn't expect to learn from the experiences? I'm your host, Michael Pekovic, and thanks as always for tuning in. Today, I'd like to talk about something that's recently happened in my life that's kind of put me at a bit of a crossroads. And so just a few weeks ago, I met with an acquaintance, a friend of a friend who owns a curry restaurant here in Fukushima City. And it's located in this beautiful minimalist building, which is the Fukushima Prefectural Art Museum and Library. So half of it is a library, half of it is this art museum. And in the middle is this curry restaurant. And it's not a typical Indian curry restaurant or Japanese curry restaurant. It's called spice curry. So it's kind of a bit more sympathetic to the Japanese palate, but it's got those Indian flavors that kind of make it a little bit different, kind of somewhere in the middle there. It's really, really delicious. Anyway, we went out with the owner, a friend of mine, and myself, and we went and had some drinks, and it was a really good night, and probably a little bit too late into the night because I was trying to build up a little bit of courage to have deep conversations in Japanese. So I had drunk a little bit too much, but the conversation that transpired next was really awesome. I don't think I've ever been offered such a offer that you can't refuse. So the owner offered me a space in his restaurant to open up in the morning and run a cafe however I want. It's my choice. It's my project. He wants more foot traffic to come through because the complex wants the business to be open earlier. And I'm a big morning coffee guy. I'm from Australia, so the morning coffee culture is where it's at. Whereas in Japan, things tend to start a little bit later, from midday, and then coffee shops are open until 7 or 8 or 9 p.m. at night. But I know that there's a lot of people up and about in the morning and there's nowhere open to have a coffee. So that gives me the opportunity to try something that isn't being done in a place that needs it, with an abundance of car parks. It's centrally located. It's not too far from the city centre, the main train station and those types of things. So it's easily accessible by public transport and by cars, cycling, whatever you want. And I can run this coffee shop however I like. So I've basically had this thing handed to me on a platter. And I went back to the restaurant with my wife and a couple of other friends the other day and got greeted with a huge hug. Japanese people tend not to really hug, but he came straight in for this huge, big, manly hug, pat on the back. How you going? Shake my hand. Just stuff that I'm not used to living in Japan. I'm very used to that way back home, but in Japan, it's not really a done thing. So that's a good sign for me that he's really interested in partnering up with me and him having me on board to help his business get more customers, make things look a little bit more lively, and then build my own customer base. So we had a bit more of a chat about it while I was in the restaurant, and I got to see the perspective of where I'll be working, and it's behind the counter. It's in the center of the whole complex. So I'm looking out onto this big fountain water feature area and grass all around me. It's such a beautiful, beautiful scene. And I've got access to all of the tables in the restaurant. So effectively I could have, if I was running at a full house, I could have 50 people in this restaurant. But I don't know how it's going to go. We haven't really done any promotion or anything like that yet, but it's fair to say that as a result of that restaurant being open and the owner doing some preparation and a little bit of promotion around that there's going to be people who come. So there's a big art exhibition on for around about, 2 months. So when there's an event on at this art museum, there are thousands and thousands of people coming from all over Japan, not to mention Fukushima, going to this event. So it's going to be absolutely pumping for the next 2 months, which means that I can again make an assumption that a portion of the people going to the event might be looking for a drink afterwards. They might be looking for an iced coffee or a coffee of any description that I'm planning to make. So they'll come to the only place that's serving coffee, which happens to be me. So I've got captive audience right there. So this is going to be such a great trial for me to do something that I've always wanted to do. And the story of me even serving coffee goes quite a long way back now. It's probably 2019. I really wanted to move to Fukushima by myself. This is before I met my wife and had the huge network of friends that I have now, plus this opportunity to set up a cafe. And I wanted to make it like an Australian style cafe, buzzing, music blaring, kind of fast paced, takeaways, that type of thing. And then when I started looking into it, it was just something that wasn't feasible at the time for me, budget wise, getting a visa, going through all of those things. And then when my wife and I moved here to Fukushima in 2022, I kind of looked back into it to see what was possible. But again, just from an outsider looking in, it just seemed impossible as a foreigner wanting to set up a business, all the contracts and stuff that I would need to do, that I'd have to rely on my wife to do. And I just don't want to put that kind of risk and burden onto her. So again, I scrapped the idea and just went back into like digital marketing world, copywriting, and trying to be a freelancer. And then this year, my wife and I have been really considering going back to Australia because I'm not able to find a consistent source of income, whether it's a career job or anything else. And we were set in our ways about it. And then all of a sudden, I get this offer that I can't refuse, which puts me at a crossroads. I always feel like I'm at a crossroads because, I've spent so long in Fukushima building up my life here that going back to Australia feels like the easy thing to do because I'll be much more likely to get into a job and earn better money. My wife will be able to earn better money and that kind of life. But it's also a life that I feel like is not the real life that I want to live. It's me being another version of myself living in this life that I feel like I have to follow along what everyone else is doing. But in Japan, I feel like I can be whoever I want to be. However, nothing has yielded an outcome yet. So me not being able to earn an income, not being able to provide and those types of things has really kind of made me feel like my life here is not complete because that's the only element missing. I've got every other element taken care of. I love my life here. It's sweet, pure, wholesome. Love watching my son grow up, all that kind of stuff. Love my life with my friends and my wife. So now I've got this opportunity to have something that is completely mine without the risk of having to get a rental contract, anything like that. I've got a captive audience and I can test and trial things at my own pace. I can start a few hours a day, build it out to, a half a day, maybe go right through until like 3 or 4 in the afternoon and slowly build up my business. Meanwhile, I know that there's going to be some revenue coming in finally. And the thing that I kind of get torn by with all of this is that I've been trying to be this marketing guy and trying to be a corporate guy and whatever else for years and years. But maybe my calling is to make coffees for people. I make coffees for people all the time when they come over. I'm really pedantic about it. I take care. I want to make sure that they are enjoying what I make, how I can make it better. I've had a bit of a trial run with this at my friend's house, which also doubles as a skate shop. There was an event on a couple of months ago and really good feedback, sold enough coffees for the day that I broke even. So yeah, it's kind of like maybe that's what I should be doing and I should have been doing all along. But now this opportunity is right in front of me that I've got to take it. So I told my wife about this yesterday and I said that I don't know if I'm 100% ready to go home yet because this opportunity's it's like slapping me in the face and I get to work with somebody who's a really great business person. They're killing it in Fukushima City in terms of running a business, but also in Japan, they're just switched on. They've got such a huge network of people that kind of by default, I'll get access to these people and expand my own network and be able to build a name for myself and a reputation for myself. Plus, I get to work with one of my best friends who's also going to be selling his vegetables, fresh vegetables at the restaurant on a day-to-day basis as well. So there's going to be this whole new vibe going on in this restaurant in the morning that wasn't there beforehand. So there's an atmosphere. It encourages local people to come in, the people going to the event. And post-event, this might be able to be a thing that keeps on going, which is really exciting. And this might be the thing that keeps me in Japan. If it can produce enough revenue as a business that enables me to pay my taxes and do all the stuff that you absolutely have to do here in Japan to kind of keep your visa status going and to increase your chances of getting like a permanent residency visa, which I don't currently have. I've got a spouse visa at the moment, but all of those things help me increase those chances. If all of that's taken care of and I'm able to have a nice, comfortable life, I'm not talking about driving around in a Lamborghini or anything like that, but having a life that means that we can make better choices. We can start to do things. We can start to look beyond, the next 3 or 4 months or the default, let's go back to Australia because it's easier kind of mentality. We might be able to build that life here, which means my life will be complete. Again, this is a conversation I need to have with my wife ongoing because I know that she wants to live in Australia. So I guess we just have to see how it goes. But this is just such a great opportunity. I'm so grateful that for somebody who's only met me a few times, they've been able to realize my potential and they want to work with me. That's all I've ever really wanted, is that I feel like I've got all of these skills and capabilities that don't ever really get picked up on. When I'm applying for a job, I've got lots of networks and contacts who, all think that I'm a good operator and stuff like that, but that never really results in any kind of job or anything like that. But this is the first time where somebody's seen that and jumped on it really early to the point where I'm just like, I've got to do it. So starting on July 18 and 19 is when this event kicks off. I've done all my preparations, timed out how long it's going to take. I'm going to be making mocha pot stove top coffee, which no one does in Fukushima City as well. So that kind of sets me apart to make that style of coffee. And it's a bit more of a slow thing. So people can take their time while they're drinking coffee. I can start these conversations. I love talking to people in Japanese and meeting new people. So during the time while the coffee's extracting into the pot, I can have conversations and start to build up relationships with people and hopefully turn those people into repeat customers who love the atmosphere and who don't mind waiting around for a coffee. And it's kind of the opposite of what I thought I would do as a coffee shop in Japan. I wanted to go for that fast kind of approach, like I said earlier. But yeah, the slow thing really appeals to me now because having conversations with people and building up that trust and rapport means that I'm likely to get more people coming back who are prepared to kind of spend money and believe in my business so much that they become a repeat customer. And then I'll find other ways to tackle it when I need to make more coffees at once. But I don't want to move away from the mocha pot concept. I'll just buy a bigger mocha pot, more burners, and kind of run that way. Because it's also something interesting to watch and it's a little bit more face to face. I don't have this huge espresso machine sitting in front of me. And while they're waiting, I can, do all these other things to kind of keep my business running on a day-to-day basis. But it's such an exciting opportunity and I'm really looking forward to it. And I think that this is the turning point in my life. It's ultimately going to present whether we go back to Australia or not, or whether we stay here a little bit longer. And I really hope that it's the latter because I'm not ready to leave Japan yet. I think I'm not done here. But having said that, I've got more people to think about than myself. So hence the crossroads. I'm applying for jobs back home. So, if I get a job back home, I'm going to take it because I want to focus on building a life for my family as well. Whereas I feel like I could be doing that here, but it's going to be a slower burn and it's going to take a longer time to do that after having spent four years already with not much to show for it other than a lot of personal growth experiences and friends. And I don't want to devalue that, because that has been like, this has been the best time in my life. I feel so at peace and kind of just a completely different person to who I was in 2022 when I was still working for a bank. I'm the person who I want to be. So I shouldn't discount those things at all. So yeah, that's it for today. Thanks again for tuning in. If you'd like to subscribe, please do so. Tell your friends about it. Leave a comment. Tell me what you'd like to hear more of. But in the meantime, thanks again. This is Suboptimal, and I wish you all a great day. Cheers.